So, let's talk about something that you might feel deep in your bones, but maybe you've never really had a name for it. We're calling it the architecture of accelerated maturity.
I want to start with a question and just see if this hits home for you. Have you ever had that feeling that you just grew up way too fast? You know, like you were somehow carrying all this weight while everyone else around you just got to be a kid? Well, if that sounds familiar at all, I want you to know something right now. You are definitely not alone. That feeling of being an old soul or feeling mentally years ahead of people your own age, it's a real thing. It's a shared experience, and it's not just all in your head.
So, what's really behind that feeling? It turns out there's actually some real science to it. It's not just a personality quirk, it's a pretty sophisticated psychological process. It's all about adaptation.
There's a term for this, accelerated development, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's basically your mind hitting the fast-forward button on maturity because it had to. It's a response to a complex or challenging environment. It's really a high-speed survival strategy. And you can really see just how different this is when you look at the two paths side by side. You know, a typical path is all about gradual learning, having responsibilities that match your age, and having the space to focus on play. But the adaptive path, that's a whole different story. It forces you to develop coping skills like now, to take on adult roles way too early. And your focus isn't on yourself, it's on your environment and the people in it. A completely different track.
Okay, so what does this actually look like in a person? Well, this accelerated maturity usually shows up as a pretty clear set of what we can call survival signs.
In fact, psychologists have identified 8 really common patterns of thought and behavior that tend to pop up when someone has gone through this.
All right, here they are. We've got hyperindependence, deep empathy for others, a really strong sense of responsibility, an aversion to conflict, having a hard time with playfulness, a constant need for control, always being the peacemaker, and this feeling of being an observer. As you look at this list, just notice if any of these jump out at you.
Let's dig into just a couple of these for a second. First, hyper-independence. Now, this isn't just about being self-reliant, which is a good thing. No, this is a deep, gut-level belief that you have to do everything yourself. It makes asking for help or even accepting it feel, well, almost impossible. Because at some point you learn that relying on other people wasn't safe. It's a shield, really, one you built to protect yourself.
And then, on the flip side, you have something like deep empathy. This is like a superpower that was born out of necessity. It's this incredible ability to read a room, to sense the emotional currents, to know what other people are feeling before they even say a word. Why? Because you had to learn that skill to navigate what might have been a really unpredictable world. Okay, so we've talked about what this is and why it happens. But this next part, this is the most important part of this entire explainer. It's about figuring out the difference between these learned traits and your true self.
I really want you to hear this. Survival traits shouldn't be mistaken for your true personality. That's the whole key right there. It means you didn't just get older than everyone else, you were forced to adapt, and you adapted faster.
So here's the bottom line. All those signs we just talked about, that fierce independence, that powerful empathy, that heavy sense of responsibility, they are brilliant survival mechanisms. But they are what you learned to do. They're not who you are. They're the armor you built to get through it all. But you are not the armor.
And that leaves us with one final big question. A question for you to take with you. If you could set down that heavy armor just for a little while, who would you be? Who are you really? Beyond all those incredible survival skills you had to develop, that right there is the real journey.